Okay, so the next device I wanted to take a look at is the MultiTap delay. The MultiTap delay is really interesting. It basically provides 8 taps of delay, 8 individual delay lines that we have control over in different domains. So we have delay time control, which is control in the time domain, tap level, so the volume of each tap, will it be getting quieter, will it be getting louder with each tap, the pitch of each one, will it be getting higher in pitch, lower in pitch, whichever way you want to go. And then we also have panning left to right for each tap as well. So there's a lot of individual control. I would be reluctant to say granular control in this instance, but there's a lot of intricate control in here that can provide a lot of variation and a lot of interesting sound. So let's just have a very quick look inside, and then we'll do a little audio example. But what we can see here is we have a very we're using multi-channel objects just to kind of keep the patch clean and efficient as possible. But the actual delay line itself is quite simple. It's not using tap in or tap out. It's just a very simple MC delay that is set by our multi-channel, our multi-fader. So because of multi-channel objects, we can say, we've got 8 channels and we are setting the values using messages and like open messages as well. So we're using our dollar numbers to assign those values and pass them through to our delay objects. Same with the levels and the panning values, and coming out in stereo. The interesting thing over here is the PFFT modules, which are allowing us to do real-time spectral processing and repitching. We do get a certain amount of repitching with the delay times, but this seems to be just a slightly cleaner, more predictable way of doing repitching. Now, while I don't have necessarily the idea of sense or anything like that in terms of that kind of level of control or feedback, having this sort of sloped approach here is actually quite an interesting way of doing it and gets some really interesting effects. Honestly, since building this, I've learned a little bit more about gen objects and a little bit more about poly objects, and I probably try to rebuild this in the future using those just to kind of make everything a little bit more efficient and a little bit less power hungry. But this certainly isn't the most expensive or most power hungry module in the patch that I've submitted, though it is slightly hungry. So hopefully it won't crash again. This is the second time that I've done this recording because it crashed last time. So hopefully it won't crash while I'm screen recording and showing you an audio example. But yeah, that's how it's kind of working under the hood. We also have another preset system which is slightly more basic than the previous preset system that I showed you before, but I only learned about that after making this and haven't got around to updating that. So I'd probably change that as well. So I'd recreate this in Poly most likely and recreate that just to kind of give this the ability again to fade through those presets, because that could be a really nice way of interacting and modulating the entire unit on a macro level. So let's exit that and just kind of briefly talk about how we might control this, because this is actually quite an interesting way of working. We have the ability, of course, because these are multi-faders, we have the ability, of course, for all of these to kind of click and adjust the fader, and that's the same on level, same on pitch, same on panning, like that. But you can kind of create this chaos of like different levels, different times, different pitches, different panning, and just kind of randomize it in that sense. Or you can use these boxes at the top. So for each of these 3 here, it's not the same with panning. I wanted a little bit more manual control with panning. But for each of these boxes here, we have the ability to set our start, so our start and our end point, and then adjust the curve as well. So if I set the start for delay time, let's say we want it to start low, go high like this. So in fact, let's just swap it around to from what it currently is. So let's start high, start slow, and move to quick like that, just to kind of make it a little bit unnatural. We can set our start and our end point thusly, and then we can also adjust the curve of that, so we can make it more concaved, convex. We can change the curve so that it looks like that, and then I can adjust that as well, like that, and adjust the curve again. And it's the same with pitch as well, so I can adjust that Let's start high, go low. That always makes some fun noises. And then adjust the curve, thusly. Okay, so that's how we control it, and then we can obviously save our presets here. So if I hold down Shift and click there, I have a saved preset. So let's get some audio going and try and give you a example without it crashing. Hopefully this will work this time. So if I just kind of activate the audio, we should see the buffer up here fill up, and I will bring the fader up. Let's do it with something that's just going to be a little bit more present with the delay. So let's change to the rainforest and the birds. I'm going to close this window just so we're saving on processing a little bit. So you can hear as the delay time gets quicker, it's repitching anyway. And then we're also getting the repitching. Apologies, it's getting quite loud there. So there we go, that's the pitch shifting, modulating, multi-tap delay. And let's move on to the next module.